it's Clay. How's everybody doing? I wanted to do a vlog today on these two guitars that I have, and kind of in general talking about Partscasters or do-it-yourself guitars, homebrews, whatever you want to call them. Just kind of talking about the pros and cons, how I've kind of my review of my two Partscasters, how the whole experience went, and whether or not I would recommend it to somebody else. So I've done these two. This one is actually I've had for a really long time. I probably have had some form of this guitar for maybe 4 or 5 years, and it's had 3 different necks. This is the 3rd neck. One broke, one I didn't really care for, and then this 3rd one has been really great. It's probably had 4 or 5 different sets of pickups. The electronics have been changed almost countless number of times. Different saddles. I guess that's about it. So really the body has been the mainstay. Everything else has been in constant flux. This one has actually been with me for about less than a year. It's one of my more recent builds. And this one has pretty much stayed as is. I have tried different pickups in both spots, and I've settled. So this is the 2nd set that I've settled on. And so overall, when you're building your own guitar, number one, I think that it is a great opportunity to get something custom without necessarily paying a huge custom price. Now, I'm pretty picky about the feel of the neck on any guitar that I own, and with both of these, they're a little bit fatter necks, a little bit bigger fret wire, and both of those are kind of a hard combination to find. A lot of times you'll find really skinny necks with big frets or really fat necks with thin frets. So for me, going custom was a better choice because, you know, a standard Fender neck is a little bit on the skinny side for me. I really like something with some heft to it. So that was the biggest reason why I have gone custom. I also really like it because I really tend to tinker with the electronics and the pickups and the pots and the caps and all that stuff. Maybe try wiring mods. I really like to mess around with that kind of stuff. So for me, it doesn't make sense to buy a guitar and then change the neck and then change the pickups. I mean, at that point, you've wasted a lot of money when you could have just bought a blank body for like $100 or $150, $200 compared to, you know, like a $600 Strat, American Strat used. So for me, it makes a lot of sense because I really like to tinker with my guitars. And that's one thing that I would say in general about both of these is I've found that it takes a little bit more time for you to really dial it in to the point where you really like it. And that is not only includes the setup, which is huge, which I'll talk about later, but the pickups, the the way it plays, different electronics choices, all those things take time to really dial in. I have yet to get like a lemon piece of wood. I've heard experiences of guys who buy a Warmoth neck and they just have a horrible experience in the wood. It doesn't resonate and it just seems really dull and lifeless. I haven't had anything like that. But I have had to, experiment with different pickup combinations till I found one that I think really suited the guitar really well. But overall, I'm really happy with them. And the second thing I really want to talk about is the setup. Getting it set up is huge. With this one, I bought this neck from Warmoth. It's a Guncollo Owls neck, which is one of the big reasons why I want it. It doesn't require finish. It's really smooth, and it actually feels amazing. It's got a Powell Ferro fretboard, 59 round back profile, stainless steel jumbo frets, and it actually was almost perfect from bringing it out of the box. I haven't had to level the frets or crown them. I'm not a tech, so I'm not really an expert. I'm sure a little bit of work could be used, but it has been really nice, and I have not noticed any problems with it at all. So I can speak really highly of that. This one is actually an Allparts neck, which is probably, if you're going for more of a vintage spec, it's just a standard maple or maple rosewood Fender neck. Allparts is really a great choice. Warmoth gives you a lot of custom options. You can choose the back profile, the frets, even get some exotic woods, but it's a little bit more expensive. So I would give high recommendations to both Allparts and Warmoth. They've made really great stuff, and I would hands down buy from them. This is a Warmoth body, and actually this guitar, the body and the neck together, is one of the most resonant guitars that I've ever played. I mean, anytime you strum like a really open sounding chord, I mean, just this whole thing is just like rumbling. And with this one, the neck feels and plays really great. This body is from Mighty Mite, and I finished it myself. It does not resonate in the same way that this one does, but I would attribute that to two things. Number one, this is alder maple as a majority of the wood, and both of those are kind of known for being a little bit brighter, so the resonation is very bright and very robust, whereas this one is definitely loud, but it's more mellow, it's more warm and rich, if that makes sense. So I would attribute that partly the body isn't of the highest quality. In the finish, maybe, I don't know if the finish makes any difference, but it's not a high quality finish. I just did it with some spray paint and a can of nitrocellulose. But definitely this neck wood, being Gunkawa Alps, it just resonates differently than this one. They're both loud when you strum them acoustically, but this one is just different. But yeah, overall, I definitely think that it's really worth it. For me, I think I get a lot of value out of these guitars. Both of them, I have no idea how much money I put into that one, because it has changed so much that I can't really, it wasn't like I sat down and ordered all the parts at once and there was a total bill. It has evolved over the course of 4 or 5 years. With this one, the total came in at around $500, which, if you go to Musician's Friend or Guitar Center, that would get you a Made in Mexico Fender, and I can safely say that this guitar greatly surpasses any Made in Mexico Fender I've ever played in terms of quality and tone. I mean, it's got Lindy Fralin pickups. I mean, that in itself is going to put it way over the top. And this one too. So I definitely think that these guitars are really, really high quality, and more than anything, they're tailored to my custom spec. And if it can give you any indication, for a few years I owned a PRS McCarty. It's in a lot of my videos, is that wine red. And that guitar was, in terms of build quality, one of the finest instruments I've ever played, and I sold it because I was playing these two more, and I felt like, the resale value on something like these is really low. Whereas with the PRS, the resale value is really high, and I actually got more than what I even bought it for originally. So I was really happy that these guitars turned out so well, to the point where I actually sold a Paul Reed Smith. So if that gives you any indication about what I think about them. But I want to make sure you guys heard what I said before, because like when I first put this guitar together, it was not on that level. When I first got this guitar, it was not on that level. It was only after months, if not years, of being willing to try different things, different pickups, different electronics choices, that I finally got to a whole guitar that I really love, and I'm really, really happy with. And I just think that you need to keep that in mind if you're ever going to do a do-it-yourself build. It's definitely going to be a guitar that you're very much committed to, if that makes sense. If you're someone who flips guitars a lot, if you like to flip gear and try something, sell it, try something different, do not go this route, because number one, the resale value is extremely low. Even if you part everything out and buy used and then part it out used, it's just you're not gonna keep your value. I tried to sell some version of this once, and I went to the store and they wouldn't even give me $200, $150 for it. And not to say that it's bad stuff, but just that they have no idea who I am. I mean, nobody knows me, and nobody trusts me, my name, as a builder. But overall, I would definitely give it a really high recommendation. But you just have to be willing to allow it to kind of evolve, and to some extent, I think that's true of a lot of guitars. And I think guitarists are wired differently. I know some people who are really afraid of busting out the soldering iron and trying to rewire, or something really basic like that. And if you're afraid of that, if you're not very handy, then don't go for it. It's probably a bad choice, because it does take work. It takes, I had to route a hole for the humbucker. I've done a little bit of fretwork on this one. I had to cut both of the nuts. I had to screw everything together. I finished this guitar. I've put endless numbers of pickups and little pots and switches in both of these, so it takes a lot of work to finally get it to the finished product. But overall, it's really worth it, I think. And like I said, for the $500 that I have into this guitar, I mean, I know for a fact that if I sold it and got $500 back, I could not get another instrument that would be as good for me as this one. So yeah, it definitely is a great choice. Another minor thing is I would say that it really helps if you know what you want. If you're kind of an inexperienced player and you still are kind of finding your way and you don't really know if, hey, I really love Strats or I really love Teles, if you're just not sure, if you haven't tried out a lot of different things, I would say wait and buy some production level guitars and kind of familiarize yourself with a lot of different choices. But for me, I knew exactly what I wanted out of this Tele, and I knew exactly what I wanted out of this Strat. So I was able to really customize it to my needs because I've played a lot of guitars, I've tried a lot of different types of guitars, and I know what I like. So that really helps. So that's my review on my Partscasters. I hope you guys found this helpful, and I really would just encourage you to do it if you're thinking about it. It's worked out great for me. Just keep in mind that it'll take some time until it finally settles into its final form, and don't forget the setup. The setup is crucial. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you later. Bye.